What is up, guys? I am SJ from 10 Points of Slashing, and today's video is basically going to be a sequel and continuation on the last video that we did on the Skyrim Civil War called Who Are the Good Guys? In this one, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about my choice on who to side with in the Civil War by diving deeper into what happens if the Stormcloaks win. So let's jump into it. I'd like to kick this one off by doing a quick summary of the message behind the first video. We are, all of us, the good guys. Every single person on both sides of this war is fighting for what I believe are the right reasons. And I believe that the only way to be wrong in this war is a failure to see the other side's perspective. By doing that, by claiming that your side alone is right and the other is wrong, whether you're a Stormcloak or an Imperial, you are playing directly into the Thalmor's hand. That's what they want. And by extension, what the developers wanted in this absolutely genius storytelling. Storytelling that has violently divided a fan base. And that division is awe-inspiring and incredible. I honestly believe the Skyrim Civil War to be one of the most complex and cleverly designed conflicts, not just in any video game, but in any form of storytelling whatsoever. I'd also like to make something very clear by answering a question somebody posed to me in the comments section on the last video. The question was, essentially, don't you want to convince the other side that your side is right? No, I don't. That's the furthest thing from what I want. I believe that the enemy has every right to their viewpoint and that they are inherently correct to choose the side that they do. That is, once again, a perfect example of how this twisted conflict is so incredibly complex. On the surface, however, it's incredibly simple. This conflict was specifically designed to be surrounded by themes like racial bigotry and religious suppression to elicit a visceral response and get you thinking it's obvious what the right choice is. Siding with the Stormcloaks means you're fighting for religious freedom and independence from an oppressive regime. Hell yeah, right? That's the obvious choice then, because siding with the Imperials, the people that tried to kill you for no reason immediately at the start of the game, means you're supporting that oppressive regime and continuing the Thalmor's past 30 years of inquisition, prosecution, and execution, based on the fact that some people just believe differently than them. So the Empire's obviously the bad guys, right? You can paint it that way and it looks clear as day. And then if you take the time to look deeper, suddenly it isn't so clear anymore. And this brings me to why I side with the Empire. I'll reiterate that I personally believe that the Thalmor are the only bad guys here and have manipulated two groups of good guys to kill each other. And my end game, as well as that of all my characters, is to take down the Thalmor, whether they're a Stormcloak or Imperial. So why do I feel the Empire is better suited in that regard? Let's take a look. First and foremost, we know that it's been almost 30 years since the signing of the White-Gold Concordat. That means that the Empire, Skyrim's overarching government, has been allowing the Thalmor to stomp all over TALOS worshippers and do whatever the hell that they want in Skyrim for almost 30 years, which to the average decent human being is completely unacceptable. For some people in Skyrim, their entire life has been lived under the oppression of a foreign power that can just decide they want to kill you one day and there will be no repercussions. Why in the name of TALOS would you defend that, SJ? I don't. It's unacceptable. The unfortunate truth is that the Empire was backed into a corner and had to make the decision to allow that. Consider the alternative. The Empire just outright saying, no, we do not accept the terms, and the Dominion going, oh, got it, so war is back on then? And then they wipe everyone out. And rather than still having a measure of freedom, but having it infringed upon, the very concept of freedom is now completely alien, as every race that isn't an Altmer lives in direct subjugation and outright slavery under the Dominion. I would be absolutely floored if there is not some kind of splinter cell within the Empire that has been actively planning for this entire time to do something about it and strike out against the Thalmor. But we don't know that, and I don't like to base my opinions on uncertainties. So instead, here are what I deem to be the certainties. I'd like to reiterate that it has been almost 30 years. 30 years of the Thalmor ingraining themselves into the inner workings of the Empire. The Thalmor embassy in Skyrim is evidence of this. They absolutely have a presence in every Empire-controlled province, and beyond the shadow of a doubt have an immense presence within Cyrodiil, the seat of the Empire itself. They've completely infiltrated the Empire after the signing of the White-Gold Concordat, the terms of which state that the Thalmor will cease hostility if the Empire does a number of things. And one of those things is the outlaw of TALOS worship. To reiterate, the Thalmor not steamrolling the entire world is contingent on the Empire enforcing an outlaw of TALOS worship. So, let's say a rebellion that cites the free worship of TALOS as one of their primary motivators suddenly takes control of Skyrim and pushes the Empire out of it. Treaty violated. The Thalmor have every right in that situation to claim that the Empire couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. Whether Skyrim leaves the Empire or not, that is fuel for the Thalmor to be able to say, game on. War is back on the menu, and we don't have to hold up our end of the bargain anymore. And this time, they will absolutely decimate the Empire. The Thalmor pushed the Empire to the brink of destruction in the last war. In that conflict, they were an invading force. That is no longer the case. They now have a foothold within the Empire. They don't have to invade anymore. They have demonstrably shown that they will win in a traditional and conventional military conflict, even when they start on their back foot by having to invade. And they aren't on their back foot anymore. They will absolutely win the second war, and I highly doubt there will be a treaty that time. That war ends with the decimation and outright genocide of every race that isn't a part of the Dominion. I don't even think subjugation would be a consideration for them. I cannot bring myself to support a rebellion knowing that on the other side of victory is the literal end of the world of man. No matter how righteous a cause, I will not doom the entire human population to inevitable death. So I go Empire, and instead doom a massive faction of Nords. It's the classic hero's plight, right? Is the death of a few, in this case the Stormcloaks, for the lives of many, worth it? No, it isn't. It's a near impossible choice to make. Do I see the Stormcloak side of things? Yes, I absolutely do. I have characters that I play as that are diehard Stormcloaks. My own brother, someone I respect and love and think is incredibly intelligent, is a Stormcloak. And we've talked about this conflict dozens of times. I get it, man. And like I always say, in black and white, they are the easy choice. They have the objective moral high ground, fighting for what is right despite impossible odds. That's the kind of stuff that gets RPG players going, man. And on the other side of that, the Empire has the objective moral low ground. They're actively supporting the murder of innocent people by a foreign power that is very clearly evil due to their methodology. My choice to side with the Empire is not an easy one. It is a reluctant one at best. And as I've said before, at the end of the day, I just want to take down the Dominion. So if Ulfric Stormcloak chose the Dominion as the primary target of his ire rather than the Empire, I would be all about that rebellion. I'll hop on a schooner and sail my happy ass all the way from my humble little home in High Rock just to join up with him. But that isn't the case. And yes, I know in a Stormcloak victory, Ulfric talks to Galmar about wanting to take the fight to the Thalmor. However, my issue is that was never his primary motivator. Ulfric wants power first, Empire dead second, Thalmor dead third. And if it was the other way around, if attaining that power was a means to an end, rather than the end that allows a means, I'd probably be on board. If Ulfric led with, "This is wrong, the Thalmor must be stopped. If the Empire won't join me, then they're against me, but I am rallying forces to fight the Dominion," it'd be a different story entirely. But he doesn't, because publicly opposing the Thalmor is insane and is a literal death sentence. This is something that has to be done quietly and behind closed doors. Ulfric specifically mentions not wanting to incur the wrath of the Thalmor because he's not stupid, but it's possible that his speech to his men and women on taking the fight to them is just lip service in the wake of an adrenaline-fueled victory. And it definitely feels that way to me. Time will tell, I guess. So instead, in my little world, the Skyrim Civil War sees the Empire as the victor, and my character, a legate, goes straight back to Cyrodiil, and if somehow this isn't fucking happening already, starts using his newfound influence to quietly plant the seeds of rebellion within the Empire. Something has to be done about the Thalmor. It's been 30 years. 30 years of blood and death. And thousands of good people were just killed in a pointless war because of the Empire's inaction. I will not let the deaths of thousands of honorable, good-hearted Nords be for nothing. I understand and agree with why the Empire agreed to the terms of the White-Gold Concordat. It was necessity and survival. But I do not understand why it has taken 30 years to do something about that. If every Stormcloak in Skyrim laid down their arms and said, "We were wrong, they're manipulating us into dividing one of the strongest nations in Tamriel, we have to do something about this," I honestly believe that a majority of the Imperial leadership present in Skyrim would choose to take them prisoner and talk things over. They would reason with them. In opposition to that, if every legionnaire in Skyrim laid down their arms and said the same thing, we'd see nothing but executions. It'd be a bloodbath. We can see a microcosm of that at work in the very first quest in Skyrim. Upon first encountering a group of enemy soldiers, Ralof and Hadvar respond in two very different ways. Ways that absolutely represent the respective mentalities of each side, which I love. I believe this to be another beautiful example of the masterful storytelling that we see in this conflict. The Stormcloak's concern is to win the war and govern Skyrim themselves. The Empire's concern is the peace and stability of the world as a whole, which is hanging on by a goddamn thread at this point. In closing, I would like to point out a rather harsh and uncomfortable truth to my Stormcloak brothers and sisters. The overwhelming majority of real-world supporters of the Empire seem to have something along these lines to say. I get why the Stormcloaks are rebelling. I see their side of things, and they have every right to be upset. However, I side with the Empire because blank. And in stark contrast to that, the overwhelming majority of supporters of the Stormcloaks have something like this to say. The Empire is wrong. I absolutely cannot and will not see their perspective. So, I support the Stormcloaks. To reiterate what I said at the top of this video, that is exactly what the Thalmor want. A divided Skyrim is a conquerable Skyrim. A failure to see the other side's perspective is another victory in the silk-lined pockets of the oppressive regime that is dominating Skyrim. And it's made clear that a divided Skyrim and continued conflict therein is what the Thalmor prefer. Imperial victory means Skyrim calms down and continues to bolster the overall strength of the Empire, while Stormcloak victory essentially forces the Dominion into action, and maybe in their grand evil master plan, they're not quite ready to take that leap yet. Maybe they still have a few more orbs to ponder before they're ready to take over the world. Either way, Skyrim is in a position that a side must be taken. Unfortunately, there is no option for peace between these factions. There is no option to negotiate logically with Ulfric Stormcloak and come together to talk about Skyrim's true enemy. There's only the Imperial Legion and the Stormcloak Rebellion. So, I implore you, whether you are a Stormcloak or an Imperial, explore your enemy's rationale. Dive into their belief system and try to see where they're coming from. Start up Skyrim and play the other side of the war, the one you claim to be dead wrong. You will see and experience an entire world of revelation, and I promise you, it is an absolutely incredible experience to be able to look back and say, wow, I was wrong. That's exactly what happened to me recently, and it was the most fun I have ever had with this game over 10 plus years of playing it. Stop thinking in black and white and explore the gray. As a final message to the Stormcloaks out there, if you and I meet in battle, if you best me and I lay on the ground before you just prior to you taking my life, if the last words I hear are a Stormcloak saying, "I'm sorry," then I have won my fight against the Thalmor, and I'll see you in Sovngarde, brother. As always, thank you so damn much for checking out this video and the channel. If you like our work, please consider subscribing, and of course, drop me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are. Whether you are a Stormcloak or an Imperial, I live to talk about this stuff with people. Like I say in every video, that is why I make content. So let's talk about your thoughts now that you've heard mine. Thank you again, have a great week, and I will catch you in the next one. Later. Reiterate.